Mafia movies expose us to the dark side of life. And let's face it, every single one of us is at least a little bit curious. These compelling movies are filled with unforgettable characters who cannot resist their own outsized ambitions, and it leads them down a fascinating path that is uniquely entertaining to watch. But we must warn you, our Mafia movie rankings aren't going to be what you expect, especially our top 3. Many of you will object, but we're tired of the same old rankings. This list is made for 2022. Here are the top 10 Mafia movies of all time. Number 10, Eastern Promises. Directed by David Cronenberg, Eastern Promises was released in 2007, and incredibly, this 15-year-old movie is still the newest on our list. This is the least known movie of the 10 and perhaps the most underrated. Eastern Promises presents us with one of the most unique and interesting propositions that we've ever seen. An ordinary and unsuspecting woman, played by Naomi Watts, comes across a diary that is filled with dangerous secrets. Secrets that the Russian mafia would never want exposed. The movie takes place in London and stars Viggo Mortensen in possibly the best performance of his career, earning him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. Eastern Promises is filled with twists and turns and ultimately leaves us with a satisfying ending. Number 9, Casino. You know that we had to include this 1995 Martin Scorsese directed classic. The cast is undeniably epic, including Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Sharon Stone, James Woods, Don Rickles, and Frank Vincent. We love the gritty realism set against a 1970s Las Vegas Strip backdrop. De Niro plays Sam Rothstein, a successful sports handicapper who the mafia leverages to cash in on the goldmine of Las Vegas gambling. De Niro's character is inspired by the life of Frank Rosenthal, who ran the Stardust, Fremont, Marina, and Hacienda casinos for the Chicago Mafia. Joe Pesci plays Nicky Santoro, one of the most ruthless and violent gangsters that you will see in any mafia movie. The ending of Casino is also solid and believable. Number 8, Goodfellas. Another Martin Scorsese classic, Goodfellas was released in 1990 and also stars Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, along with Ray Liotta in what we think is his best performance in any movie. Goodfellas chronicles the colorful rise and fall of mob associate Henry Hill. This hard-hitting and compelling saga pulls us in and keeps us entertained for almost 2.5 hours. Goodfellas set the standard for what a modern mafia movie should be, as it was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director, with Joe Pesci ultimately winning an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Number 7, Scarface. The movie that turned Al Pacino into a superstar. This iconic gangster movie was written by Oliver Stone and directed by Brian De Palma. Released in 1983, Scarface has an all-star supporting cast that includes Stephen Bauer, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Robert Loggia. As an older film, Scarface may be light on special effects, but it excels in masterfully creating a fast-paced plot which follows the rise of Tony Montana, a savagely ambitious Cuban refugee who will stop at nothing to become one of the richest and most powerful drug lords in the world. And even though he's a bad guy, we can't help being attracted to Montana's wit and charisma. Al Pacino's acting in Scarface is brilliant, and it's no surprise Scarface has become a cult classic. This movie raised the bar for gangster movies, and we even love its soundtrack, which includes Push It to the Limit, She's on Fire and Shake It Up. Number 6, The Godfather. Derived from Mario Puzo's blockbuster novel, The Godfather is Francis Ford Coppola's 1972 masterpiece that made mafia movies mainstream. The legendary cast includes Marlon Brando, who stars as Vito Corleone, head of the Corleone family, as well as Al Pacino, Robert Duvall, James Caan, and Diane Keaton. The Godfather takes us inside the inner workings of an organized crime dynasty and all the high-stakes action and drama that this includes. The film focuses on the transfer of power from the aging patriarch Vito Corleone to his youngest son and war hero Michael, who is played by Al Pacino. The Godfather owned the year of 1972, as it was not only the highest-grossing film, but also won Academy Awards for Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Adapted Screenplay. We know that not ranking this classic mafia movie higher is bound to trigger many people watching this video, but at close to 3 hours long, we think it's just a tiny bit too slow and drawn out to capture one of our top spots. Number 5, The Godfather Part 2. This movie, released 2 years after The Godfather in 1974, definitively eclipses the original installment, something very few sequels are able to accomplish. The Godfather Part 2 adds Robert De Niro to the mix, starring as a younger version of Vito Corleone and documenting his initial rise to power in New York City during the 1920s. At close to 3.5 hours, Part 2 is also a bit slow and drawn out at times, but the first half of this movie is highly compelling and as good of a mafia movie as you will find even today, close to 50 years after it was made. Number 4, Road to Perdition. Released in 2002 and directed by Sam Mendes, Road to Perdition is a sleeper mafia movie that has grown on us over time. Frankly, we never thought we'd rank a movie starring Tom Hanks as one of the greatest mob movies, but Hanks' acting work is incredibly on point in this one. The movie also stars the late Paul Newman in his final live theatrical film, and what we believe is one of his best performances ever. Jude Law and Daniel Craig also star in supporting roles. Tom Hanks plays Michael Sullivan, a mob enforcer whose son witnesses a murder, setting off a chain of events that lead to Hanks having no choice but to seek revenge and redemption for the killing of his family. This movie is set in the Chicagoland area during the 1930s Great Depression era, and we love the vivid portrayal of this epic period of time. Most importantly, the movie moves quickly with a tightly woven screenplay written by David Self, which is based on the novel by Max Allan Collins. Number 3, Donnie Brasco. Released in 1997 and directed by Mike Huell, Donnie Brasco is another magnetic mafia movie that has aged well since its release. The film is loosely based on the life of undercover agent Joe Pistone. Pistone is played by Johnny Depp, who stars as Donnie Brasco, in what we believe is probably Depp's best performance ever. Brasco is able to infiltrate the mafia by establishing a relationship with Lefty Ruggiero, an aging mafia enforcer who is played by Al Pacino. Pacino's performance is nothing short of remarkable, and we think it's even more compelling than that of as the head of a family in The Godfather. In Donnie Brasco, we see the day-to-day struggles Lefty faces, as well as the cold hard reality of being a soldier in the mafia. This movie also stars the late Anne Heche, who plays Johnny Depp's wife, adding in the dynamic of family and how Depp's ever-evolving character creates conflict at home. Michael Madsen, Bruno Kirby, and James Russo also give solid supporting roles that make this Mafia movie realistic and comprehensive. Depp's character development, as well as his relationship with Pacino, are nothing short of Mafia movie magic. Number 2. A Bronx Tale. This coming-of-age crime drama and mafia movie was released in 1993 and was directed by Robert De Niro in his directorial debut. The film also stars Chaz Palminteri and Lilo Brancato. Brancato plays Calogero, who is mesmerized by the power displayed by Palminteri, who stars as Sonny, a local mafia boss. Calogero is torn between the temptations of the fast-paced mafia life and the honest, hard-working ways of his father, who is played by Robert De Niro. A Bronx Tale takes place in 1960 and captures the uncanny nostalgia of this legendary period of time in American history, as well as its unsavory parts, including racism and segregation. A Bronx Tale is more than just a mafia movie. It's a movie with heart and meaning. And although it may be slightly predictable, this entire 2-hour movie is highly entertaining and enjoyable even today, 30 years after it was first released. Number 1. Carlito's Way. Carlito's Way is far from your typical mafia movie. Released in 1993 and directed by Brian De Palma, Carlito's Way tells the story of Carlito Brigante, a Puerto Rican convict who is released from prison and pulled back into the life he swore away. Initially, Carlito is now committed to the straight and narrow path, determined to leave New York and make his way to a tropical setting down south. But as fate would have it, Brigante is unable to escape his past, in large part due to the relationships that were formed before he was incarcerated. Sean Penn co-stars as David Kleinfeld, Brigante's lawyer and best friend, who ultimately makes a series of dire decisions that make Brigante an enemy of one of the most powerful mafia families in New York. In addition to Sean Penn, Carlito's Way features an excellent supporting cast that includes Penelope Ann Miller, Luis Guzman, and John Leguizamo. Carlito's Way exposes us to the complex reality that many criminals face when they try to turn the page and leave their old ways behind. This movie is almost 2.5 hours long, but it feels much shorter, as Carlito's Way is fully engrossing and fast-paced, all the way through to its authentically inevitable culmination. Carlito's Way is not only action-packed, but it's meaningful and memorable, and for us, it's worthy of being named the best mafia movie of all time. What did you think of our rankings? Agree? Disagree? Did we miss any? Comment below with your top 10. And if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on any new and exclusive top 10 content.